and welcome to Nearfall. I'm King HP, and here at Nearfall, we're going to look at wrestlers who competed for a championship. Now, that could be a world, tag, European, intercontinental, US. It don't matter. If there's a belt involved, we got to go look back at it. The question is, did the company get it wrong? Was the loser should have been the winner, or maybe there wasn't even a match, right? Maybe there wasn't. Maybe there was just a time period where we felt that this was the guy or girl that could have just book it, right? So that's what we're here to look at. And near fall, this is my show. I want to make sure that it's special. I want to make it feel a certain style, a certain way, and it has to be perfect. It had to be. So being that this is the first episode, who we gonna start with? There's a lot of people to choose from, a lot of history, but there's only one guy that can make this show perfect. One person that if you're gonna start off something and do it right, gotta be perfect, and that was Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig. Now, Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig was 44 years old at the time of his passing. He was born March 28th, 1958. He passed away sadly on February 10th, 2003. And he was a wrestler all the way to that date. So it's when I talk about his wrestling career, it literally goes to that date because his wrestling career started back in January 30th, give or take, back in 1980 or so. So Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, the man, right? Before, how did WWE, WWF even get interested in him, right? That's the legit question because that helps to lay the groundwork for who he is and how things are going to be for his career. And that's a simple question. He was in the AWA. That's right. Kurt Hennig was in the AWA, the American Wrestling Association, and over there, that you've seen, there's been a lot of champions, a lot of people have come from this organization, whether it was Jerry Lawler, Ric Flair stopped through. Like there has been a lot of people who've come from this organization. In the back at this time, this is a very credible, a very big organization, right? So Mr. Perfect back in May 2nd, 1987, he wrestles the champ down in AWA, where it's Nick Bockwinkel versus Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, who do you think came out on top? That's right, of course, our guy, Kurt Hennig. He comes on out on top and he holds that championship down for a year, 53 weeks, but he loses it to Jerry Lawler before coming up to the WWF, as we know it as the WWE. So I lay that groundwork so to give you an idea of the prestige of Kurt Hennig later to become Mr. Perfect. Now, interesting stories is, well, how did they, they're pretty genius for this character, right? But Mr. Perfect, when he sat down with Vince McMahon, had his wife Lenise with him and all that, and they had conversations about the character, what were they trying to do? And they were trying to do something where, it was catchy because a name can do a lot for you. A name can make or break a character, right? So they came up with like Headache, which would have been wild, right? Uh heroic heroic headache, heroic Henning, you know what I'm saying? King Curtis, you know what I'm saying? I'm King HP. We would have seen a King Curtis. I'd have been kind of cool with that. It kind of worked for a second, at least in my brain, the way I think. But they ended up asking him some questions about like, what are you good at? We're trying to figure this out. Basically, I'm good at everything. Oh, you good at everything? I'm pretty good to great at everything. So they ended up coming with Mr. Perfect, and he goes on a run. I'm talking about first year in the company. People talk about streaks. Usually, when people talk about streaks, they talk about the streak from Bill Goldberg, or where it's like 173 wins or something, right? Or they talk about the Undertaker, where WrestleMania was like 21-0, right? But they never talk about Mr. Perfect's first year in, I'm gonna call it the league, right? His first year, he's undefeated. He is televised appearance. He don't got no blemishes. Ain't nobody pinned Mr. Perfect, and he's got a finisher move, which is a suplex where he hooks the leg so he lands in a pinning position and your leg is hooked. The perfect plex. This man comes perfectly equipped for all things, like everything, right? So let me get a little bit to my notes because some of the people that he beats in his first year of reign, Jimmy Snuka, maybe you heard of him. Tito Santana, right? He's in the Intercontinental title picture. Uh, Lanny Poffo, uh, Owen Hart, Blue Blazer, right? These are some of the names of the people that he is getting wins over, and he is getting wins. He's getting wins. He's getting wins, right? So now we get to a certain time frame where Mr. Perfect is getting to the point where we want to elevate, right? And the first way they elevate him is they give him an Intercontinental title run, and that title run is exceptional because he does it from April of 90 to August of 90. And he's doing a nice run. He, again, Tito Santana, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. These are some of the names that he tops. I mean, I can't make this up. He lasts as champion for about 4 months, from April to August. Boom, boom, boom. Like that's getting to the nitty-gritty with it. Now, in this time frame, he takes on those people I said he loses. He does lose the title to, maybe you heard of this guy, Kerry Von Erich, aka the Texas Tornado. So, and imagine that Hurricane Hennig potentially, right, versus the Texas Tornado. Just the names could have been crazy. But again, he drops the title at SummerSlam to Texas Tornado. Now he does get another title run, about 260 days. Just think about that. 3/4 of a year, what? 365, So 260, he goes from November of 90 and he runs all the way to SummerSlam of the next year, August 26th. He has feuds with Bret Hart, HBK, Tugboat, Big Boss Man, Roddy Piper. Oh, man. So why do I bring these names up, right? Because when you look at the stature of these names, a lot of those names I mentioned are Hall of Famers. They're Hall of Famers. So you saw this at the mid card level. Bret Hart goes on to become a world champion. HBK goes on to become a world champion. Roddy Piper has been a world champion in other companies, right? Tito Santana, Brutus Beefcake, these are Hall of Famers, right? These are Hall of Famers. So I bring those things up to bring up points, right? They trust Mr. Perfect. He's got such a buzz. They bring him to the Regis Philbin show. Y'all heard of Regis Philbin? Now, think about this. This is back in the 90s, and this is live TV, right? Larry Poffo at that time, that's Randy Savage's brother, y'all. He's kind of being like not like a manager to Mr. Perfect, but he's like a handler. We'll use that word, a handler, right? If you will, right? So they got the genius. He's going by the genius at that time, right? He comes out to do a nice little, like how Paul Heyman does for ladies and gentlemen, my name is, what I'm saying? He's got that kind of layout for Mr. Perfect.
I thank you, Joy and Regis, for that lovely introduction. You know how to make a genius feel at home. But I came here to talk about a man who is to wrestling what Romulus and Remus were to Rome. It takes a real genius to appreciate perfection. Mr. Perfect is perfection at its best. By the power of the genius and the world's smartest man, let me introduce a very perfect guest. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight in Madison Square Garden, we will have a new perfect World Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion. And now, if you are quite ready, the genius presents Mr. Perfect.
It works. It works so good. He goes on Regis Philbin's show. Now, later that night, he's going to be battling with a certain individual. We're going to talk about it. He goes on that show that night, or that day, live. Regis Philbin wants him to do something. He's showing him he's Mr. Perfect. He's cutting promo because this is the big day. April 28th, 1990 is the day he's going to battle Hulk Hogan, right? Hulk Hogan on Saturday night's main event. So this is a huge, I mean, this is the top guy in the company, right? So when we talked about those names of people he's battled for the IC belt, right? And where they went with their careers, just know this is peak. And the day of this battle back in 1990, guess where they send Mr. Perfect? They send Mr. Perfect to the Regis Philbin show, right? So just think about how as a heel that's working for him. But Regis got some wild stuff. Regis says,
all right, now, you have seen Mr. Perfect on television. He has an ace at basketball. He does high dives off the board tremendously. You know that genius. What else has he done?
Card tricks, too.
Well, he's done that. He's done bowling. I mean, he's done everything. We've rigged up a little bowling thing here. I'm going to give you a little lesson on how to bowl right now, okay? You think you're so hot, Mr. Perfect?
hey, I want you to bowl, right? Mr. Perfect is so this is how genius. There's no WWE creative right in doing this right now, right?
Now, didn't I? All right, what do you got for me?
Here comes the ball. Somebody get the ball.
What do you got for me, Perfect?
I've already been on national television and bowled a perfect game.
Yeah, I know you have.
And I've already been on television, and everything else I've ever done in my life has been absolutely perfect.
Yeah?
And for me to come out here and bowl today would be senseless. Number one, you don't even have the right kind of bowling alley.
I understand that.
And I've got the biggest match of my life tonight. I didn't come out here to bowl.
Yeah, I understand.
But
You
if
don't
you
have
have
a
a deck
pin
of
setter
cards,
either.
maybe genius cards. You got some cards?
What are you going to do, a deck of cards? Didn't know
Sure
you
you
were
said
a
no.
card shark, too?
I've already shown you I can bowl time and time again. I'm perfect. There's no need to do it. Check the show, right? What Mr. Perfect is trying to do is avoid not looking perfect on live TV and discrediting his character. That's how crazy, and he's on the fly with it. You know what I'm saying? Regis filming, hey, hey, got it. But check this out, Mr. Perfect. We ain't gotta go to a bowling or lane or whatever, right? They made one in studio, had the pin set up, and that's where Mr. Perfect was like, "Well, listen to this. I'll give you advice on how to do it. You want to watch me bowl? I've rolled perfect games and blah 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 blah. Boom, and it works. It works for Regis, right? So then Mr. Perfect, because Mr. Kurt Hennig is not about to get outdone, right? So he's like, I got a card trick now. He does the card trick. Boom, pick a card. Boom, he shuffles the deck back up. And then they're like, is this your card? 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 Right? They're like, no, no, no. Regis thinking they got him. On live TV, the man ain't perfect, right? And he's like, oh man, pulls out that card. Boom, there you go. They're like, oh shit. Oh, and there you have it. Mr. Perfect on live TV. When they tried to make him look a style away, Henry wasn't having that. And he leaves. He leaves the show on a perfect note, cutting a good promo for Hulk Hogan in the Garden that night, right? So here's where I get like, okay, well, what happens? You know, Hulk wins, okay? Now, this is 1990, so I got to put my little asterisk, right? I said this is April. Let's bring it back, right? Bring it back with me. That first year that Mr. Perfect was there, he goes into the Royal Rumble at entry number 4. He does well. Guess who eliminated him? Hulk Hogan, right? Now, no big deal. 29 other men got eliminated, right? Because there can only be one winner. 1990. This is January of the same year where he has the match on Saturday Night Main Event with Hulk Hogan, right? Mr. Perfect enters number 30. He's one of the final 2. Who is he in the ring with? You're going to train, say your prayers, and eat your vitamins, right? Mr. Hogan again. Hogan eliminates him. Now, a lot of banter in the back about Mr. Perfect was initially supposed to win the Royal Rumble, and it was decided by sources unknown or forces unknown. I don't know how you want to, that Hulk was going to, right? So I bring that up to say this. That's 2 years in a row, but 1990 specific is an MVP year for Kurt Hennig. The man is a finalist in the Royal Rumble. Now, surely this is April. You get a Saturday Night Main Event. You got the Genius interfering. Let's bring this thing to WrestleMania. Let's bring it to WrestleMania, right? Well, WrestleMania 1990 happens a little bit before the Saturday Night Main Event. That happens April 1st, 1990. You got the Warrior versus Hogan in the main event. We're not going to touch that, right? Like that's at that time, that's the biggest the company has to offer. It's also a title for title match. It's also one of the first babyface versus babyface on that level of card, and it's a main event. So WWE ain't about to scrap that. They on to something. They knew it, and they're not about to give that up. All right, cool. We walk this down to SummerSlam, right? Because now the Saturday night main event happens, right? My man got a shot there. Some fumble jumble stuff goes on there. I think it was a count out. Back in January at the Royal Rumble, Hulk eliminated this man. Right? They were the finalists. Can Mr. Perfect get some get back? Surely SummerSlam, right? But nah, who the Hawk fight at SummerSlam? They gave him Earthquake. And y'all remember how that beat started, but if it didn't, don't worry, I'll refresh them and have Earthquake come out and squash Hogan. Bong, mad Earthquake. I forgot what his finisher was called, where he jump on your chest and then jump on your chest and then jump on your chest. Flat, bomb, just flatten your whole joint be pancaked. So Hogan took several of those too, mind you. So they go into SummerSlam to do a feud, right? So it's not Mr. Perfect. And this is where I look at things and I go, okay, well, where are we gonna go from here? You have Survivor Series. Now, I want to bring up a point of why I think some of this is big. Remember, Saturday night main event, he gets Hogan in a match. And Hogan's the biggest draw in the company, right? However, Hogan was not the champion at the time of that match. Why? Back up to what I said. WrestleMania was April 1st of that year. He lost the title to the Ultimate Warrior. So a good showing with Hogan surely should be like, all right, even if he didn't get it there, right? We just need a good showing. SummerSlam, as much as we want to say, well, Hogan went on to battle Earthquake, Mr. Perfect actually goes on to battle Texas Tornado. So on that same card. So we come into Survivor Series, right? Mr. Perfect has a team, the perfect team. It's Mr. Perfect, Axe, Smash, and Crush, also known as Demolition, a trio at this time, right? And it's not like Crush where he's like the Hawaiian with he's from Hawaii or whatever, but like the face paint of purple and silver. He's dressed as Demolition. He is the third member to Demolition. So it's Mr. Perfect and the three members of Demolition taking on the ultimate team. And this is if you historically, when you go through Survivor Series, this might be arguably the best team ever assembled. The Ultimate Warrior, who is the WWF champion at time, the Legion of Doom, known one of the top tag teams in history, and in 1990, they are literally like the premier team. They're the team that Demolition is kind of based on. Axe and Smash, the initial members, right? Because every team needed a team like that, also known as the Road Warriors, right? And then they also have on this team Kerry Von Erich, the Texas Tornado,
The
who
Ultimate Team with Team
at
Captain World
time of
Wrestling Federation
match
Champion
is the
Ultimate Warrior,
current
joined by the
Intercontinental
Intercontinental
Champion.
Champion,
So
of
you have the
course, the
current
Texas Tornado,
WWF
along with
champion,
the Legion of
the
Doom, Hawk and
current
Animal.
Intercontinental champion, and maybe the greatest tag team in history, the Legion of Doom, also known as the Warriors, the Road Warriors, mind you. And Kerry Von Erich was known as the modern day warrior in previous companies with the Ultimate Warrior. So you got a team of warriors, right? Going against the perfect team. All right. Well, how does this shake out? Right? Warrior pins Axe early. They got him up out of there. Mr. Perfect seems down 3-4, right? Bong. Smash and Crush get into a brawl with the Warriors, and the ref is like, yo, chill, 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 chill. You see how I got these joints on? Chill, 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 chill. He can't stop it. It's too these men is brolic too, you know what I'm saying? So he can't shake it. Disqualifies all four. Smash and Crush, get your ass up out of here. Hawk and Animal, get your ass up out of here. Boom. Now Mr. Perfect's team is just Mr. Perfect. And who is left for him to fight? The current Intercontinental Champion, the man who beat him at SummerSlam. Pinned his shoulders, right? And the WWF Champion, current at time, the Ultimate Warrior. Okay. Well, check this out. Mr. Perfect goes on a run. Mr. Perfect gets to working, and they working him, but he bong, bong. It's going back and forth. Mr. Perfect gets a win, clean, bong, pins Kerry Von Erich, the Texas Tornado. He pins the man. Goes to war with the war. And he almost leaked it. He almost did it. He almost had it, y'all. But again, the word is too much. And mind you, he just had to wrestle a whole nother person. Reason why I bring that up, we don't give my man kudos. Yes, sure, we know. A few days later, he does go on to rematch the Texas Tornado and pin him and get his title back. That starts his second run right? November 19th. And that's the run. He does 260 days. He wears that title from there all the way to SummerSlam, where he'll drop the title to Bret, the Hitman Hart, in an awesome match. Please check that out. But I want to look at that time period, right? Because when you look at Mr. Perfect and what he did, coming in undefeated for 1 year, having matches with the WWE champion and the current Intercontinental champion at one time, and getting a pinfall victory on one, forcing the other to the end of his wits, right? Being a finalist in the Royal Rumble, right, against Hulk Hogan, and then the year before he eliminated Hulk Hogan. Why did we not get the championship match? Is this enough? Is this 89 to 91? I'll really say 90 because in 91 he wrestled the British Bulldog shortly thereafter around the SummerSlam event where he lost to Brett, and he gets injured, back injury. Back injuries. So bulging disc in his back, and he breaks his tailbone. So that kind of settles out for Mr. Perfect. Now he does come back and make some runs in the company. In 2002, he goes on to the Royal Rumble. Right, just get him out of here. You know how these people come back and they make appearances. No, no, Mr. Perfect is a Final Four. Matter of fact, Final Three. One of the last three men of the Royal Rumble. So shout out to Mr. Perfect, who was eliminated by Triple H. But look at that 90, 89, 90 period. Did Mr. Perfect do enough? He's a AWA champion. Beat Nick Bockwinkel. Bach, sorry, Bockwinkel, right? Loses to Jerry the King Lawler, who has, I think, over 33 world championship title reigns. We're not going to get into that because that's a whole, but beefs with Bret Hart, HBK, Owen Hart, Tito Santana, and Jimmy Snuka. He has victories over all these men, whether on house shows or whatever. Did he do enough to do that? SummerSlam 1990. He was already eliminated by Hogan in February. Surely this should do it. April, they have a match on Saturday night main event, which is a televised event for the people with the biggest star in the company. I think at that point, even though we went Hogan Earthquake, the trigger should have been pulled for a Hogan Mr. Perfect beef. Mr. Perfect, if he wins that, which they could have let it would have done no harm to Hogan. If he wins that, he can then come on down to Survivor Series, go against the Warrior and the team of Warriors, the Ultimate Team, right? I think he should have got the win over the Ultimate Warrior. Maybe Kerry Von Erich pins him since he had already beaten him before, and the Warrior had a problem there. But sometime in that summer to November pay per view, that was the time for Mr. Perfect. So I'm going to say that maybe the Warrior, because he was the current champion, he should have gotten a shot somewhere in that time. Now, Mr. Perfect has 0 title matches on any pay per view. So that's another disturbing fact. And when I say title match, we're talking about the WWF World Heavyweight Championship, right? Never. All the time you think about Mr. Perfect and how he was a top level contender, how he was going against Hogan, forcing Hogan the distance, going on Regis Filming, doing the press tour, right? Royal Rumble finalist, who management felt comfortable at one point to say he's going to be the winner. Mr. Perfect should have been a champion. I'm going to say they got it wrong. I'm going to say on Nearfall, Mr. Perfect, we got the championship for you. That persona should have definitely went into the Hall of Fame as former World Wrestling Federation champion, Mr. Perfect. Okay, so the ruling right now, we're gonna count to three. 1, 2, 3. It's over. Mr. Perfect is a near fall champion. Period. Point blank. He deserved the gold. His character was over to get it. His move set was over from his drop kicks, pristine. His finisher, a suplex with a leg hook for the pin, easy 1, 2, 3. Mr. Perfect goes on from, and he was doing press tours. It's not you ain't never show me a bunch of other intercontinental contenders or heavyweight contender. I don't remember John Tenta doing a press tour on Regis Filming. I just he did, but Regis Philbin tried to even catch him off guard. Tried to catch my man's off guard. Oh, you're perfect. Let's bowl. I'm a pretty good bowler, Mr. Perfect. And then he was like, oh, we can't go anywhere, blah, blah, blah. No, he set it up in studio already. Had it going. Mr. Perfect said, if you want to see me bowl, go check the show. So he promoted the show. Man, come on. Got himself out of a jam. Still pulled the card trick off. Bong. Got the card for the person because he knew they were going to try to offset him. So when they was like, that's not my card, it's not my card. He's like, yeah, you're right. So boom, puts it down. That card he put down was their card. Mr. Perfect is a near fall champion. Ladies and gentlemen, here on Near Fall with King HP, the decision is final. Shout out and rest in peace to Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. He is the first ever near fall champion. And tune in again and let's see who we cover next to see, did the company get it right? Should there have been a championship awarded? I don't know. But now you decide. Put it down in the comments and let's chop it up. Till next time.